Welcome, everybody. This is the first episode of Shit Talk. When you hear shit talk, what does that actually mean? Eric?
Talking shit.
Talking shit?
That's all we do.
Okay.
You asked me what's my thought about this show?
I was asking for your thoughts on Shit Talk.
I don't think that's what he asked.
Given that the show is called Shit Talk.
It's about us. We like to buy shit and we like to talk shit about that shit. So that's what this show's about.
Our wives are very patient. Han, what about you? What you hear Shit Talk and you think?
It's about planning to buy the next thing. It is about what we bought yesterday and last week and last month, but I think it's more about what should we buy next and how should we buy it? Can we make it on the budget? And do I get the approval from all of my peers and friends?
And I think one question that doesn't come up in that is, why should I buy it?
Oh, no.
No, there's no why.
No. There's never a why.
It's kind of like Fight Club, right? No one asks why. So, yeah. As soon as someone asks why you bought something, it's like...
You're not part of the club anymore.
No.
Sorry.
I think the name also comes, probably a bit of influence comes from a very famous comedy show that we all like.
The Two Ronnies? No? Which one?
So it's a very famous comedy show that we all have watched. Shit, Scared. With Mick Molloy and who's the other guy?
I don't know. It's so long ago. I have a feeling, though, that given that we're all currently living in Singapore and have been here for quite a while, there may be just a very small select part of the audience that
I don't
know anything about that.
There's a huge Australian population here in Singapore, so I reckon that we'll be able to capture at least a good chunk of middle-aged men like us.
There you go. So if you're wondering where this was coming from today, it's being beamed to you from Singapore. Awesome. So where should we start? I mean, I've got some crap that I brought in, and I think in future episodes we'll focus on different themes, right? We're all gadget nuts, so today we'll talk a little bit about some audio stuff. We'll talk about AR, very topical. We'll talk about, and then we might drill into those themes a little bit more moving forward. But audio, visual, gaming, what else? What else do you think we'll talk about?
Oh, yeah, I think we talked about maybe having a retro gaming episode. That'll come up next, probably.
Yeah.
What else?
Anything takes our fancy, to be honest.
Right.
It doesn't have to be tech all the time.
No, that's true.
We do like tech, but some of us like gardening.
There you go. All right. Fascinating. Can't wait for that one. Gardening. I think we might have a sponsor.
Oh, yes. Today's episode is sponsored by Smart Home and Gardens. If you want to buy your smart home technology in Singapore, go to shg.sg. Thank you.
Check the show notes for more information on that. All
That
right.
was smooth. Well done, Harry.
I'm thinking I'll start with something that's kind of retro, kind of interesting, and this is the it's basically a cassette player. So for those that are old enough like us will fondly remember having a Walkman or equivalent when we were kids. And like everything, cassettes are coming back into fashion. So vinyl went through a resurgence, cassettes are coming back in. It's surprising the number of modern artists. Taylor Swift is one that releases a lot of her stuff on cassette. So, Han, what would be the appeal of cassette for someone that grew up with cassettes and then some of these young kids that are all about retro and they're like, oh, analog, cassette, I've got to have one of those.
Yeah.
What's the motivation there?
Look, I think it's fairly clear that we do love things that are tactile. Right? We're sick and tired of touch screens and smooth surfaces. We want things to be able to click with the resistance behind it. And when you do, it responds and reacts to your commands. And I think everybody sort of wants to have that sort of feedback.
Right.
So that's one thing. Second thing is that, there are way too many people with way too many cassettes in their garages that just want to figure out how to get rid of it. And somebody decided that, hey, it's worthwhile making it into a fad, I guess. Oh, what have you got there other than just a player? You got something that I may have seen somewhere.
I did say that there's a lot of stuff that's actually available to buy today on cassette. So you don't have to, record your own. You can go out, Amazon, where I got volumes 1 and 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy mixtapes, which I'll talk about the songs and the quality, etc. But if it was someone new, like someone younger than us, who says, hey, it's retro, cassette, analog, fantastic, I want to get it. If they'd never listened to a cassette before, they've bought this, bought a tape, what do you think their first reaction is going to be listening to it?
It's shit. And that's what the choice code is.
Yeah, I mean, frequency response rate is pretty crap. It's got a wow and flutter that you have to deal with. There's a whole bunch of background noises that you have to deal with. I don't even know if this has actually the Dolby noise suppression system.
No.
Oh, lovely. So you're going to get a whole bunch of pink and white noises. That's what they're going to get.
All right. So look, not being too old that I don't remember what cassettes used to sound like, I suppose the most kind thing I can say about the Theo CP13 is that it is a faithful reproduction of how cassettes used to sound, which is a polite way of saying, yeah. Not horrible, but not great. Okay, it's just how you expected cassettes to sound. So, but I think that the tactile thing, actually seeing something moving, right, mechanically, is really appealing. But I would say overall, look, it's a great modern day interpretation of a portable cassette deck. It's got a lot of inspiration from the old Sony Walkmans. So the first Sony Walkman was a TPS L2, which came out in 1979. It's kind of got a little bit of that look and feel. Actually, the Sony looks very much like the blue that they have on the cover there. So has this renewed my interest in cassettes? Am I going to start buying tons and tons of cassettes? Unlikely. Eric,
Steve, did you say you've tried a few of these different models? Have you got a few of them with different things you've tried over the years of different cassette players?
Well, that may be in a future episode. Yes.
So I can't remember what some of our rules are, but are we going to talk about price?
No.
How much did you pay for this shit?
I actually don't mind sharing how much I paid for this because I actually thought that this was quite reasonable.
All right.
Okay. So 120 Singapore dollars on Lazada, including delivery.
Brand new or second hand?
No, brand new. So very reasonable. They float between about 120, 150, depending on who's selling them, but very reasonable.
So let's say that you're a retro reminiscent nut who just wants to get back into the swing of things when you're in your teens and 20s and listen to, I don't know, aerobic music from 1980s or whatever it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather get that model or this brand new Spangle thing?
That was actually a question I had for you. So it's kind of like, okay, if you could find an original Sony Walkman, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's that special model that everyone's trying to get and costs $1 million?
There's lots of different models that are so-called collectible. But the thing is that a lot of these secondhand units, you've got to think about the age. Okay, so if you get the very early stuff, you're looking at things that are 40 plus years old, all right? So is it highly likely you're going to be able to buy something that's fully functioning, that you can use every day, play for a couple of hours? No. And if you're going to be paying huge money for this collectible Sonys, it's probably going to go in a glass case on your shelf. It's not something you may actually use.
Straight to the pool room?
Straight to the pool room, that kind of stuff, right? So... But in my experience of looking around at retro players, more specifically the Sony Walkman range, okay, so which basically were WM something, okay? So the last WM cassette player was sold in the US in 2004, and there may have been some other markets where it lasted a bit longer, probably Japan, it lasted a bit longer. No, I think you're just buying a lot of heartache. You'll get it, it may work, and then the proprietary rechargeable batteries, common to Sony, don't work anymore, don't hold a charge, and they don't take normal batteries. They may take an external supply, but that defeats the whole purpose of portable music if you've got it tethered to the wall. right?
The earlier Walkmans used the normal AA batteries though. So
Very
either
early ones,
single
yep.
or doubles. So,
Yep.
so those are still pretty decent
Yep.
sort of alternatives to this.
Yep. And then Sony moved to kind of like what looked like a stick of chewing gum.
Yep,
type
that's it.
Battery.
Yeah, in the 90s, yeah.
Which you can get some aftermarket ones. But I suppose the net is that be prepared that it's not something you'll be able, if you buy true retro, you'll be able to just pull it out of the box, use it every day, and it's going to be pain-free. Something will break.
So do we have a picture of you in neon
Rollerblades?
leotards and headbands wearing your
Cliff Richard?
spongy head?
On my OnlyFans page, yes. So, and we'll pop the link in the description.
What was the name of
for
that song? Quickly, what was the name of the song?
Wired for Sound.
That's it.
Yes,
yeah,
Wired
that's
for Sound. Cliff Richard. Yes.
some
Where
bright
is he now?
neon T-shirt we want to see you in, and
All right. Yep. I think it's now. This discussion's heading off into an area that we probably don't want to get into, but that's
move on
okay.
to the next
another chat.
product.
So I think that the verdict on this is great introduction or reintroduction to cassettes. Works really well. USB-C, rechargeable battery built in, so some of that heartache with batteries goes away. What's really interesting is that FIO have done their own enhancements with the transport in here, which is really interesting. And towards the end of cassettes' golden days, especially the portable formats, there was only one company in Japan that was actually making the transports, and then that company was sold to someone in China. So it's quite possible that this, in some way, actually has lineage to the Sony Walkmans, and also Sanyo, Iowa, Kenwood, when everyone was making Walkmans. So highly advised. This is just for looks, because back in the day you used to get headphones packaged like this with your Sony Walkmans. They were $7 and they sound like $7. So, but it was just sort of like to complete the whole picture.
So the musicality of the whole player, the assessment that you just gave, was it based on that headset?
It was, yeah, because I wanted to have the true experience, right? So,
Does it actually have Bluetooth?
it does not have Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
which is,
Nah, I don't think it should have Bluetooth.
no.
I mean, cassette sounds a bit average anyway. I think it'll still sound average, irrespective of what you listen to it on, wired or
Just from
wireless.
I wonder if you turn on the noise cancelling portion of it, say on a Bluetooth
The
headset.
noise cancelling is interesting. It's a mechanical feature where the tape gets separated from the head, and then all noise goes away.
It's a bit like a
Lovely.
off and on switch, maybe.
yes.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Silence, fantastic.
Got it.
So
Is
we
it a
started-
buy? Is it a buy? Should we buy it?
Oh, it's definitely a buy. I would say for the price, for the quality, no major surprises. It's kind of what I expected. Someone who's never listened to cassette before may have an emotional roller coaster of
the hell is this
reactions.
shit?
Oh my God, it's so warm and there's something about it. And it's like, oh no, I've just wet my pants. That's what it is. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a buy.
It's like I bought some Queen tapes, but I've got nothing to listen to them on. But I thought I'd buy them.
There we go.
So I need
There
something
we
to
go,
listen
being
to.
the queen that you are. One last point on this. So if you got into it and you thought, wow, fantastic, I'm going to start collecting tapes. Buying old tapes, I would say potluck, because tape degrades over time. So it becomes very sticky and starts to fall apart. There's a lot of reissue stuff, that's fine, but they're typically at a premium to CDs and certainly a premium to streaming, okay, in terms of price. I actually have bought, and I'm waiting for delivery, a TIAC ADRW950, which is a combo unit. So it's a cassette recorder and it's a CDR. And
Okay.
you can record backwards and forwards between the two formats. So I've got lots of
where's-
CDs.
Jaws? Is this a Jaws find?
I don't reveal my sources, Eric. No. People will just turn off and go straight to that site and start buying stuff and put us out of business. So, but yes, it is coming from Japan. reasonably priced, and I can start producing my own tape content. should
Great.
It.
Hang on a second. You're buying
Exciting.
this TX unit so that you can listen to it on the player for that reason only.
Pretty much.
We need to give you a prize of some description. That wins.
I was wondering where that was going. But so there we go. The
Talking about
FiO
buying shit.
CP13. One other call out for FiO.
Theo?
FiO would be FIO. FiO, according to the US pronunciation, is FIIO, which is what these guys are.
FIO.
Theo.
FiO.
We need
The-
somebody.
Why would you name your company something people don't know how to say
FIFO
that?
It's one of those. They have just released a DM13, and following in the same footsteps as Sony Walkmans, it is their version of the Sony Discman.
Oh.
So which will play CDs. Really impressive specs. 179 US dollars is what they're going for. They can be used as a transport, connected up to one of FiO's DACs, and that's FiO's background as DACs and headphone amps. That's kind of where they started.
I have one of theirs, yes.
So definitely something to look out for, and I may be tempted to buy and feature on a future episode.
Wow.
Okay.
Next
So
week.
Maybe, well, it's all dependent on DHL. So
Thank you. And that's it for today's episode.
That's it for today. Our 3-hour monologue on two gadgets.
Clear your shit. Han, you're next.
Okay.
Make space, Steve.
Oh, I'm doing it, mate.
All right. Mine's nowhere as complicated or long-winded.
Long-winded, yeah.
As what?
You're
Steve
awful.
just-
Awful, Hans.
Strange that we both said the same thing. I think the same thing.
So, whenever you guys think about buying a technology, what are some of the things that you consider?
As long as my wife doesn't find out.
Okay, fair enough.
the main one.
That's a
How
common
can
one.
you sneak it in the house
Yes.
and blend it in?
Try
It's been there for ages. What are you talking about?
have I told you about that time when I tried to sneak in a 140 centimeter robot?
Pepper.
So
Please
what about
stick
you?
around for another episode of Shit Talk when we bring our girlfriend to the show.
What do you think about when you're trying to buy technology? Well, what's one thing that you...
Actually, look, to be honest, I don't think. Because
Really?
it is an impulse buy.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's an impulse buy.
All right. One of the things that I do appreciate and I like and I do consider is the way that it looks.
Oh, true, yeah.
And this thing that
It's
I'm
aesthetic,
bringing,
as the kids say these days.
yes, aesthetics, is all about that and nothing else.
He didn't bring just a head, did he? What is it?
That is
Put more in
something
it.
that for you to guess as to what it is.
Does it hurt? Do you use it in the bedroom?
You
Did it come
could.
on a chain with like 6 others? Because if it did, I'm thinking,
One of those big ding, ding, ding.
ouch.
Oh,
Can I touch it?
Oh, you can touch it.
Shiny.
Yeah, make sure you wear white gloves next time.
Oh, look, fingerprints all over it.
What is it? There's some hints
Okay.
on the surface of it.
Okay.
So if you look at the front of it,
There's the front?
There's a reference.
Oh, I'm looking at the back. I'm
Yes,
looking at the
exactly.
back.
You're a back kind of guy, aren't you? There are some.
Sorry, what side am I looking at?
That is the front.
Oh, okay.
That
Right.
is the front. We're still guessing what it is.
A speaker? No.
Speaker?
A screen. It's probably
No.
got a screen there by the looks.
It's very light.
It is light.
Well,
Magic ball?
I give up.
Okay. So you see a reference to a company called Christofle in there. And I'm not French, so I do not know what's the proper way to pronounce the name of the company.
Okay.
They're famous for their basically silver plating technology.
Okay.
They've been around since the 1800s.
Okay.
They're Paris-based, and if you go to fancy, household product stuff
Right.
for silverware, Cristofol is one of the brands you should consider.
Okay.
And there's another reference to another company called Lacie, spelled Lacie. Again,
Oh, don't do they
French
do
American
storage or
company?
something?
French-American company. It's not Lacie. And their name is also on it. Oh my God, you guys just
Alexa, turn on. Alexa.
put the fingerprints all over. So
Are you telling me it's some sort of USB drive housed in a silver-plated testicle?
that's exactly what it is.
Wow.
It doesn't do anything special or spectacular. All it is a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive. That's all it is.
What? Okay. This is really shit.
No, I'm not sure it's shit, but it's fascinating. Well, actually, no. I think you already answered my question when you said it was French. It's kind of like, why?
Exactly. I mean, it evokes the question, doesn't it? It's like, why did you buy this hard?
Let's just go back. Why even build it?
Okay.
And then why to buy it?
So the time that I bought it is about 10 years ago,
Oh.
2013-ish.
Okay.
So it's not a brand new thing by any stretch. And I was in a phase where I was into things that are spherical. So as long as it's shaped like a sphere and it provided some level of technology, I was into
Quite
it.
a mind shift for Han, because before that he was a flat earther. So,
That's right.
okay.
So
I love flat earth.
and it's actually named Sphere.
Ah, good. That took them. They had a whole competition around that.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
they?
exactly.
Come up with the name of our product.
But I think it's meant to be French because there's a that accent above E on the sphere.
Was this the only collaboration that was done that produced
Yeah, I
this,
think it
or-
was a massive failure based on what I could gather.
What? What a surprise.
Retail prices were ridiculous at the time. I think they were about $500 US or more. I can't exactly remember. I bought it at retail. So I'm one of the very few people that bought it shortly after launch.
How come you've never told us about this thing? We're so embarrassed.
Well, so
I
here's the
think
thing.
that, yeah.
Yeah, remember, I'm the owner of 2 caves.
Yeah, there's another episode. Stay tuned for the episode where we go to the caves.
Yeah, and I thought, because I swear
Now I
that,
see the logos.
yeah, I swear that we were going to actually talk about retro gaming this particular episode,
no,
but
that's coming up.
somehow changed, and I thought, I have to now come up with something else.
I think
and
you've hit it out of the park with terms of shit talk. What the?
I'm almost speechless, to be
I mean,
honest.
it is beautiful.
What size is it? 1 terabyte.
1 terabyte. And I have checked last night to make sure that it indeed functioned, and it did indeed work, both with my MacBook, my PC, as well as my iPad Pro.
Wow.
There you go. And to tell you how old it is, if you take a look at the connector, it's got that funky high-speed USB with a notch on it.
The big wide longy thing.
Yeah,
It's like
that
a-
was largely reserved for the SSD. I never quite knew what that cable plug was meant to be called. Do you?
I don't. Maybe we'll answer that. Just post it in the comments. If you know what the answer to that question is, let us know.
Yeah,
I'm sure
what
there's
is
going to
it?
be a lot of questions today.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, we should
Wow.
have quite a few million viewers by
okay,
the
so I
end of the
suppose the
show.
question I've got is, you've dug it up
Yeah.
and you've gone, and it sort of brings back all these memories. When I bought it, why did I buy it? Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do with it now?
Well, I could still come up with that all spherical device computer setup. At the heart of it was another computing unit that was spherical.
See, wait a minute. Yeah, there was a thought process here why he wanted this. Keep
Right.
going on.
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
going.
And then there was also a set of spherical spheres that was very popular at the time. And
Speakers.
Yeah. And I bought a bunch of them. So, and I was in the process of looking for a spherical display, which did exist, but very difficult to acquire.
Well, there was those round TVs in the 80s.
No. I'm talking about real spherical display that displays all around.
Okay.
So
This is the alternate timeline that Han is going back to.
So the only three things that I could actually find that was spherical in shape were mouse. And I have come up with an idea on how to overcome that. Do you remember the 3D Explorer things where you could actually move? It's largely made for 3D designers.
Yes.
Yes, so those things could be used as a mouse. So I got one of those. But it's not quite spherical because it's got that platey thing underneath and then sphere on top. The second thing, as I mentioned, is the display. There's only a couple of companies that I've seen who make spherical displays, largely for exhibition and that kind of sort of venue support reasons. And then the last one is obviously spherical keyboard. I got no idea how one could produce anything that is spherical in place of a keyboard. But if somebody has some ideas, then I'm all ears.
Have you checked AliExpress? Because I'm sure there's one there.
AliExpress, I'm sure have got one. Yeah.
So that's what that is. And it was purely an aesthetic choice. LaCie, at the time, was highly prolific in their sort of activities in producing peripherals, working with a bunch of designers like Philip Stark from and so on that produce a whole bunch of things. They also worked with, I think, Porsche Design to produce some of the slicker looking hard drives, as well as NAS boxes. So that's what they did. And this is one of my pride and joy because I'm sure that there aren't that many of them anymore because nobody really bought them. But yeah, it is.
Look how dirty it's got just from us touching it.
Yeah. So I don't even want to touch it anymore because it looks so filthy now.
Where have you been, Steve?
Yeah, fingerprints on your balls. One thing I neglected to touch on was that the cassette's a keeper. Frames are going straight on carousel.
Right.
Is this a keeper or is it
this
carousel?
is definitely... look, I'm a hoarder by nature.
Right.
So this isn't going.
Okay.
And it certainly is going to be part of my collection.
Carousel, for those that are not familiar, is in Singapore and is the marketplace of
Shit.
crap. So
And scams.
Okay.
I won't go into it.
That's
I'm
going
sure
to have
that's
to
not
be
true,
edited out.
Carousel. We love you. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Well, he had our attention for a good
I felt
45 seconds,
felt
maybe?
like 3 hours.
Look, if you actually went into somebody's study and then you saw this on their desk, you'll be wondering, what the hell is that?
You'd be going, I love your ball.
And then
But it should light up or something,
it doesn't. And that's the beauty of it.
No.
I mean, there's a blue light. There's a blue light somewhere.
No, I think that would have tipped it over the edge. If it was like, beep, 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 it's flashing lights emanating from inside, it'd be like, no, that's just
the
shit.
computer, the computing unit that I do have actually has a ring of light that goes around it, which kind of cheapens the experience a little bit.
You need to bring that in. Future episode, bring that in. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, so that's what it is. The
Wow.
LaCie spherical hard drive.
Yeah, wow.
Eric, are you going to be able to top that?
I'm sure. Oh, for sure. All right, my turn?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's your turn,
I've
big
got
guy.
the biggest thing here. And it's friggin' heavy.
You didn't buy this from JB, did you? Oh, no.
I brought my pride and joy.
Oh, wow.
Press the button there. So, can anyone guess what this is?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I can't see all of it from where I am, and there's two of them. But it's not a toaster oven or no pizza maker.
This is an IBM PS2 Model 70, and I've had this since brand new, and it's been sitting in a cupboard in either my parents' house or my sister's place for the last 25 years. This was a machine made in 1988.
Oh,
And the reason...
I wasn't born then.
And the reason...
Could I interrupt?
And the reason... Yes, no.
Is there a label on the back that tells you where it was made? And if so, can I guess where it was made?
I don't know if it does, but I know where... It just says manufacturing in Australia by IBM Australia.
Right. So this was made in a place in Victoria called Wangaratta.
Wangaratta.
Because
So
that's
like
where,
an Australian.
that's where IBM had a plant. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, that's where a lot of their stuff used to come from. But please continue.
So
Trivia.
this was, I worked for a SI company. We were a big IBM reseller. This was my computer I had at the time on my desk. And the reason I've kept this, because I was so in love with the way that they made this machine. Because this was this was the first modular computer that you could strip down within 30 seconds. That's not really true, because this is a Model 70. The Model 50 was the very first modular computer, and I'll show you what it means by modular when we open it up. But the Model 50 only lasted maybe a year or so, but then the Model 70 came out, and there was a 386 and a 486 version. I can't remember what this one is. We can have a look when you open up, as you can see the chip inside. It says 386 or 486 somewhere there.
Okay.
But I remember when this first came out, or this modular design came out from IBM. We were a big IBM reseller, so we went to the IBM launch, and there was this guy. His name is Steve Lamb. I still remember him. He was the product manager for in Australia for these products, the desktop PCs, and he would strip it out, open it up, and throw the motherboard and the hard disk into the ground, and look, and then I can put it all back.
Cause major injuries.
I got hit by the hard disk. It was just like, I think he was like he felt like he was the Steve Jobs of IBM. Back in the 80s, IBM was a big company. It was the number one PC manufacturer in the world. They were probably the Apple at that time for a short period based on these sort of machines. So let's open it up. So there's two little knobs,
Thumb screws.
to take the case off.
Ooh.
And then we take the case off.
All right.
And we can see that.
Yes.
Smells
Oh,
nice.
I cleaned this out the other day for the first time. It had like 30 years of dust on it. So you can see that it's a modular.
Okay.
And it's got some extra cards in here that I had
Wow.
at the time.
XGA?
XGA.
There
Because
you
it only
go.
had VGA at the back, but I had an XGA card in it, and then a 3COM coax network card.
Not a token ring? Oh my
No.
God.
Wow.
How could you?
So how does this all work? Well, there's these little things you can then pull out the floppy drive. There's these little clips here to pull out the hard disk. You can do it two hands.
7 hours later.
Hard disk. What size hard disk is this?
Probably 10 megabytes.
120 meg.
Oh.
There's
a modern
so
PC.
that probably part of the secret was this backplane. Was they had a backplane that did the hard disk and the floppy instead of cables. These days they still use cables for all those sort of hard disks and that, but they had a design. Now I'm not going to go any further but there's a whole bunch of white clips you'll see that made it very modular, so you could go back right down to the motherboard and pull everything out. And it just is a very cool design.
Okay. Yes, it is a very cool design, but I'm sort of always interested in what motivates design choices. So what was the problem that they were trying to address by making it modular? What was kind of unique about the maturity of technology at the time that having a system that you could easily get it open, whip parts out, swap parts back in, get it back out into the field? Because I think a lot of stuff today, even although I'm not sure what the desktop market looks like today, but I think a lot of people just like, well, as long as I can turn it on and it works, that's fine. That's all I care about. But any thoughts on that? What would have motivated modular?
I would have thought there was two, probably. I'm just guessing, but one would have been serviceability.
Okay.
Because as good as IBM was, these machines had a lot of problems. There was a lot of issues with the PS2s in all their ranges. Usually there was something, even in this models, there was something about the CPU. The first batch CPU was faulty or something. I don't know, I don't remember. But it made it very easy to service when there were issues. And then also, I think just from a design aesthetics, that this is quite a cool design, you know, and it was never really replicated because I think it probably cost too much to do this.
Probably.
Because there's a lot of, you know, there's a whole plastic chassis here that most computers these days don't have this chassis, you know. So that there's some probably extra cost that they had to do to make it modular, to make it more serviceable. But
May not even be plastic by the looks of it.
yeah, it looks,
Could be magnesium.
I don't know what it is, but
It looks expensive. A lot of effort.
so there was a, so this is, we can see a CPU that says 386 in there. It was just a very popular machine. We sold tons of these. The PS2 was a great range of machines back in the days. The company I worked for, so I have a little story here, was we're a SSI, a big IBM reseller in Australia, and for some reason we got a hold of like 2000 Model 30s. I don't know if you remember what the Model 30 was, but it was before all this came out. The Model 70, those obviously went in order. Model 30, Model 50, Model 70, there was a Model 80, etc., etc. The Model 30 was before the 386, so it was whatever that CPU was. Does anyone remember what the CPU before a 386 was? 286?
286.
And then before that?
x86.
x86. So it was either the 286 or the one even before that, the Model 30, I can't remember. But we got a hold of 2,000 of these Model 30s. I don't know where they came from, how it happened. And we did a big promo to then just sell them. And we did TV ads to sell a Model 30 just to consumers.
Do you have copy of that TV where you come up as a technician?
So my job was so again, we bought these Model 30s. They're a bit weird, and I'll get to it in a minute. And then my job was we bought some aftermarket processors or something, or cheap upgrades for the processor. And I had to open each one up, take the existing processor out and put a new processor in.
Right.
And then test it, and off we went.
And then your fingers and your hands got all and bleeding.
The very first one I did, put the processor out, put a new one in, plug the power in, turn it on, the power supply blew up because it was set to 110 volt.
Oh, lovely.
So
And he only did that for the first 1999
yeah.
Model 30s.
So it was just a weird thing that our company did. We're a big SI. We weren't into selling retail. We didn't have a retail store at that time. We did later on. But it was like, all right, let's just buy these cheap. Obviously, they came from overseas somewhere because they were set to 110 volt. And I had to upgrade them all. 2,000 PCs, put new processors in. And then we sold them all on TV with one of those cheap and tacky, you know.
Was there some sort of a punishment for you?
Yeah, probably. So yeah, and I've kept this machine because I just liked the modularity. I thought it was just a cool design of the time that didn't last for some reason, which, you know, maybe like cost, like we said, but it was just a cool design that you could split it apart, and it was good from a marketing perspective.
Okay.
But then I think after the Model 70 and 80, I don't think they continued this design anymore.
Huh?
Cool.
Thoughts?
Oh, look, I do love the old computers for sure. As you know, I got tons of computers in my caves. But I got to admit, I mean, modularity has never been a consideration for me, to be honest. Because we talk about, you know, swappabilities and upgradabilities, but how many times do you actually upgrade your PC?
Yeah. Like I said, maybe you asked me why did they just do this, and I said serviceability, aesthetics, but maybe one was just from a marketing perspective.
I'm sure there's that aspect.
Just, hey, look how cool this is, you know?
Yeah, you can't.
That's it,
you
know?
can't escape
Yeah.
marketing getting their product marketing getting their grubby little fingers.
So
into
I still
everything,
have
but-
the original monitor that came with this, and the original,
cool.
not here with me, and the original keyboard, but not the original mouse for some reason.
Oh well, that's it for me.
Yeah, that's it.
Unless it's a period complete set.
Yeah, it's just like the early models of Lisa. If you don't have the early model Lisa with a metal ball, it's not worth it.
Lisa had metal balls.
All right, that's my product.
that is
I thought it was
super
just a
cool.
cool product. But talking about retro technology, you guys have brought reasonably new. I've gone definitely retro here.
Yeah.
A keeper or carousel?
I'm keeping this forever. I don't know why, but I'm just going to keep it. I think it's
This
like a cool
hard
machine.
drive would be dead for sure.
Maybe we should turn it on one time and just see if it really works.
I'm gonna
If
do
you
it.
do, Han and I will be
Behind?
like at least 50 feet away, behind
support,
Brett
power
Ball. And we'll just make sure it's not on 110 volts, just so you're not having any flashbacks.
No, it should be okay.
Did they screw through a ribbon cable?
That's to earth it, hon. Oh. You don't know anything, do you?
They were some of the reliability issues that IBM had at the time.
That is the weirdest looking ribbon cable connector that I've ever seen in terms of, look, the spacing between the actual conductors are all weird. And I think you're right. It seems to be touching one of the conductors.
Yeah, it's probably done it to earth the conductor for some reason.
That is
That's
a
probably
weird
an
one.
aftermarket fix. Oh shit, we better do that. That'll fix it.
If anyone knows, pop it in the comments.
All right, that's me. I think we need to wrap up now. We're coming to the end of our time, Steve.
Fantastic. Have we had fun today?
Yes.
Are we going to do it again?
Yes, we've got the retro one coming up. I think we should do that next. Retro gaming. Sorry, retro
To the
gaming.
collective sigh of the 3 people that will watch this episode when it gets posted.
And then we've got the Pepper episode coming up.
What Pepper episode? She's going to be the regular in this show.
Oh,
Okay.
that's where she'll be.
We're
She'll be right here.
going to go do the cave visit. That should be an external one.
Elaborate on the cave, because it sounds a bit vague.
Yeah,
What is it?
There is this mysterious dugout that I have found some years ago where I decided to hide my
Buys.
treasures
Treasures.
from the prying eyes and harsh elements of Singapore.
Oh, I thought you meant...
I was waiting for it.
You say it, Steve.
Yeah, the prying eyes and harsh critique of my better half. That's where I thought it was going. but I
me
thought,
too.
oh,
I thought, yeah. I understand. Yeah.
I have a very supportive, loving family.
Yes, we all do.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us buy this shit.
Thank you for letting me
So
out
that'll
today.
never be an issue for me.
Excellent. Future episode covering that. Going to look forward to it. Also, too, I mean, Han is a coffee
Oh,
aficionado.
yes.
So we could look forward to an entire series just based on coffee.
It's a 7-hour-long session that we're going to
48
have. We have spoken about it. From the picking of the cherries
Oh, good.
to roasting to brewing. And then what happens after that?
Then we would definitely need coffee for that
All
episode.
done through interpretive dance. I'm looking forward to that one. Fantastic. All right.
Let's talk about shirts just quicker. So good. Thank you, Steve.
We
We all got shit talk shirts.
We
for
have
the
our
episode.
own merch. You want a t-shirt? Drop us a line. We'll fix you up.
Oh, okay. That'll be Steve ironing the
Yeah, I'm just going
logos
to be
through
just
his
doing
laptop.
these at home, printing them out. That's okay. I've
on
got
a
nothing
cheap
else
ass
to do.
Chinese t-shirt.
Hey, they're good quality. Thanks, Steve.
These came from the US, these shirts.
Good.
Via China. But yeah.
Made in China.
So,
All right.
alrighty.
That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.